Hi, welcome to Movie Review Mom. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And today the movie I'm reviewing is called John Wick Chapter 4. I don't know about you, but I am a franchise fan. The movie is rated R and it is 2 hours and 49 minutes long. In fact, this is the longest of the John Wick movies in that whole franchise. But the time kind of goes by fast if you're a fan. And like I am, my movie review mom grade for this is an A. So let me explain why. First of all, I'll give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, which is kids should not watch this movie. It's super violent. And then themes worth talking about, interesting lines, funny lines, and recommendations for other movies that are sort of similar that I think you'll also like if you like this one. All right, you ready to dive in? In a nutshell, if you are a fan of the John Wick franchise, like I am, you just can't get enough of this guy. So it's time for more. This addition to the story features the uncovering of a new plan to defeat the High Table once and for all. Before John Wick can gain freedom from this life of crime, he must face off against a new enemy with powerful alliances across the globe and forces that turn old friends into foes. This very stylish film was directed by Chad Stileski. The writers include Shay Hayton or Hatton, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, Michael Finch, and Derek Kolstad. So there were a lot of things I really liked about this movie. First of all, who doesn't adore Keanu Reeves? He's beloved because he's such a total stud in these movies and a really nice guy in real life. And he has one of my son's eyes. So I always think of him when I see Keanu Reeves. Well, or vice versa. Anyway, Keanu Reeves wanted to do as many of the action sequences and stunt work himself as possible. So he spent 12 weeks in training martial arts and stunt driving. What a guy. And he takes a beating in this movie. The movie brings back some old franchise favorites, such as Ian McShane and Lawrence Fishburne, as well as some new villains and allies, Donnie Yen, Bill Skarsgård, Hiroyuki Sanada, Shamir Anderson, Lance Reddick, who sadly passed away recently, Clancy Brown, Natalia Tana, and Rina Sawayama. Now, John Wick movies are known for their incredibly choreographed fight scenes. The creativity of this movie's action sequences do not disappoint. The stunt team is amazing. The John Wick franchise really has set the standard for amazing fight scenes. In fact, anytime I see any other action hero type of a movie, I look and think, would this compare to a John Wick movie? I mean, in the fight sequences specifically, they're just top notch, amazing, hard to beat. And in this one, we see things I've never seen before, just jaw dropping, really. There's a blind fighter, for example. Wow, that made for some very entertaining fight scenes. And I definitely have never seen that before. And the fight scene on the 222 stairs, it made me just fear for John Wick's life. And then it made me laugh. And then it made me groan. And then it made me gasp. It's amazing. It's towards the very end of the movie. We get to travel all over the world in this movie, which I always love. And amidst all of the killing, there is a lot of humor. It's kind of a subtle, dark humor, but it's definitely there. Fun fact, the Paris subway scene was filmed in an actual Paris metro station that the city keeps available mostly for filmmakers. It's called, the name of the subway station or the metro station is called Port de Lise. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but I'm trying to learn French. Anyway, I'm actually going to be there this summer. I'm so excited. I'm going to look for that. Fun fact number 2 is the movie's scene in the desert at the very beginning of the movie was the same place where they filmed the movie Lawrence of Arabia. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, that looks like the movie Lawrence of Arabia. And I was right. It's the same location. There's a scene that also features the Dragon's Breath shotgun, which was inspired by a 2019 video game called Hong Kong Massacre. I've never seen the video game. I just learned that that was a fact. So I absolutely love bird's eye view, especially one-shot sequences. And the one in this movie is just crazy good. And they do a one shot, and I was just like, that's amazing. And then some other scenes, and then they went back again to that bird's eye one take shot, and I was just like, that's amazing. There is a very tender moment when John Wick reveals what he wants to be written on his tombstone if and when he ever actually dies. Keep watching during the rolling credits at the end for another quick scene. Fans of the franchise will be happy to know that a TV series on the Peacock channel will soon tell the backstory of how Winston got the Assassin's Hotel, kind of as a prequel. And then there is talk and rumor of a John Wick 5. So just saying. Now, there were just a couple of things that I didn't like. First of all, one of the most unrealistic fight scenes is held among dancing millennials and Gen Zers in a nightclub. So why is it unrealistic, you ask? Because all of the dancers would have stopped what they were doing to pull out their cell phones and video everything up on TikTok, right? What happens is all the dancers are just still dancing amidst all of this fighting and shooting and destruction, and they don't even blink an eye. Now, of course, it could be because they're all bad guys too, and they just don't care. But I was like, come on, they're millennials and Gen Zers. They would definitely be whipping out their cell phones. So while the action sequences are ridiculously awesome, it's hard to believe in a few scenes that so many trained assassins missed so many close-up shots, with their guns. There's a lot of hand-to-hand combat as well. And no spoilers, but comment down below, do you believe the ending? Dun, dun, dun. So tips for parents. Again, this movie is not appropriate for children. There is extreme violence and a lot of it. Various weapons, blood, profanity, including F-bombs, some gory, brutal deaths, and some blood. Did I mention the blood? Yeah. Some of the themes that are illustrated very well are loyalty, friendship, alliances, patience, revenge, and family, birth, blood family and non-blood family. And I just thought they did it really well. Now, I always share funny lines and interesting lines if there are any in a movie, and there are in this one. And you can see all of them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. But I'll share some with you right now. One thing that made me laugh about this movie is John Wick is almost robotic in many scenes where he doesn't say much. Now, he's not a big talker, never has been, but in this movie, it almost sounded robotic, more so because in one scene, Keanu Reeves, who plays John Wick, says, "I'm going to kill all." And I'm like, nobody says it that way. Normally, you'd think somebody would say, "I'm going to kill everybody," or "I'm going to kill all of the people." But he says, "I'm going to kill all." It just made me laugh out loud. And then Bill Skarsgård plays a bad guy named Marquis, and he's talking to Tracker, who's a new character played by Shamir Anderson. And I would like to learn a little bit more about Shamir Anderson's character, just because I thought he was really intriguing. But anyway, so Marquis, Bill Skarsgård, he's like trying to find John Wick. Where did he go? And he's like, "We found him once, we can find him again." And then Tracker, played by Shamir Anderson, says, "Is that before or after he puts you in the ground?" Because it's John Wick, of course. And then there's this other bad guy who's this big guy, and he's shooting and fighting John Wick, and he's like, "Why don't you just die?" Which is kind of funny. And then John Wick is handed this really cool gun by somebody, and he says, "How did you get this?" And the guy says, "Let's just say I know a guy who knows a guy who shot a guy." And that one made me laugh out loud too. But there, amidst some of that humor, there are some very profound and insightful lines. For example, Shimazu, who's played by Hiroyuki Sanada, asks or says, I should say, he says, friendship means very little when it's convenient. And there's this great back and forth of friendships and foes and allies and all of that, and switching sides and trying to decide, who are the real loyal friends and who are just in it for the money or the game and that kind of thing. Then Ian McShane, who plays Winston, is talking to John Wick, and John Wick asks Winston, "What do you get out of this, Winston?" And Winston says, "What you are so good at getting, revenge." And then there's another line spoken by Winston where he says, "How you do anything is how you do everything." And I've heard that a lot in recent years. And it's actually included very well at 2 points in this movie. And then Bill Skarsgård, who plays this Marquis, this guy, he says, "A man without purpose is nothing." And that's really poignant. He's talking to various characters and making his point, but it's kind of really sums up the franchise, that John Wick has a purpose. Well, the very first movie, he doesn't have a purpose. He lost his wife and he's trying to figure out what is he going to do. He knows he doesn't want to do the crime assassin thing anymore. And then somebody shoots his dog and now he's got a purpose again. And anyway, and so in this movie, he questions his purpose a lot and his life and that kind of thing too. And I thought that was really good. And then Clancy Brown plays a character named Harbinger, and he says, "A man's ambition should never exceed his worth." And there's a lot of playing around with that idea of who is worth how much money, or is there any other value to that person? All right, I could go on and on. As I said, I'm a fan of the franchise, and I just thought it was really well done. I was not disappointed, which is saying a lot because the movie is so long, but I didn't get tired of watching it. I was just like, oh, what's next? All right, so let me give you recommendations for 2 films that are sort of similar. One is called Nobody. And I did a movie review. You can find that here on YouTube, and you can also read my review on moviereviewmom.com. But it's got some really good fight sequences in that one. The most famous and the hilarious one is the bus scene. So if nothing else, you can watch the movie for that scene because its choreography is so good. It took them weeks and weeks to nail that. And then another movie is just Kill Bill. It's a woman with a purpose, and she just gets out there and kicks butt and just kills everybody with Uma Thurman. All right, that's it for my review. I hope if you watch this movie that you get a kick out of it. If you haven't seen any of the John Wick movies, I would start with number 1 because there's this whole world that this 4th movie assumes and it's being taken away and destroyed and shut down. And you're like, well, who cares if you don't know what this world is? And so anyway, watch the first one. The second and the third are fun, but you can watch the first one. Let me think about that. Now I think you need to watch the second one too. And then you can skip the third if you want and then watch this one. But if you like the first one, you'll want to watch them all. Okay, thank you so much for supporting me. I really appreciate it when you like and subscribe. It helps me to grow my channel. And it's just so much fun to hear your comments and meet you. So again, comment down below. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.